PCMA TV is supported by Visit Tampa Bay and produced by CNTV.
So Tampa, was I right?
Florida's most ways to play. Go to visitTampaBay.com.
We are in the center of the action at the PCMA Hub. Hi everybody, I'm Carrie Fairneck.
And I'm Kimberly Bottom. There is so much to see and do just in this one area, from wellness to technology to peer-to-peer learning sessions.
Right, and one of the most popular areas is the Tech Playground. There are 10 stations where you can demo different kinds of technology. Let's take a look.
Me2 is a live polling and messaging app for meeting and event planners. It's really easy to use, and that's probably what sets us apart. It's simple, takes 5 or 10 minutes to set up and get going.
Goombel is a custom event planning software. When you're planning your food and beverage orders or speakers or your hotel bookings in 3 different hotels, you can manage the details of all of those along with your project timelines, budgets, expenses, and staffing all in one place.
Eventrio is a trade show organizer-centric marketplace for selling sponsorships and collaborating in real time to help grow the revenue of the show.
Token is an event engagement platform. It's used by event organizers who want to increase and measure engagement at events. The device itself is an interactive USB stick that when touched together with your colleagues, other participants, exhibitors, vendors, you exchange information very quickly. It's digitized, and you plug your Poken in your computer, and there's a virtual timeline of who you met, when you met them, and what you collected.
The PCMA Hub is also home to sessions that were determined by crowdsourcing.
This year, PCMA recruited your ideas through their app. Attendees could offer ideas, vote for their favorites, and even volunteer to lead a session. Some of the hot topics included making your event an experience, event sponsorships in the age of social media, and Election 2016, Hypothetical Impact.
PCMA wants to give you the behind the scenes on how they did it, so they'll be making a resource available in the coming weeks.
As an association conference, we are right now securing proposals for our event in April of 2017. So we're roughly, 10 months out or so of trying to plan a program, 9 or 10 months here. So being able to crowdsource on site will enable us to have more hot topics and things like that, we hope, and ensure that our program is relevant for our attendees.
I think it would really work with our attendees. They're big chatters, and I think the peer-to-peer learning aspect would really be effective with them. So just finding the right technology, seeing if maybe we can implement it into the app. We have the upvoting and the downvoting, and then space challenges as well, because we're already contracted out and we have X amount of breakout spaces, and our foyer and exhibit space is already pretty packed. So it might be maybe a down the line thing we try to implement, but I definitely love the concept.
I think the other big takeaway is start small. And so for us, I may do that in one of the smaller meetings I do, like 100 people meeting. And it's a trial, so I think it's so new that people have to get that buy-in, and if you really start small and it's great, then it takes off. And that's how I would plan on doing it.
That'll do it for us from the PCMA Hub, but there's much more coming up on PCMA TV.
There is. We went one-on-one with keynote speaker Ben Casanoka. If you saw his session this morning, it was amazing, but he gave us some bonus material on how to manage top talent and have allies for employees. We'll be right back. now with Ben Kasnoka, who was the keynote speaker this morning. Ben, that was such a great talk about building an alliance in the workplace. So my question for you is, how does the manager really start that conversation with an employee?
It's really hard to have a high-quality career conversation with someone on your team because, first of all, it requires being honest about a kind of uncomfortable reality for some, which is that your employee may someday leave your organization, and you have to be able to acknowledge that fact before you can really have a productive conversation. So first things first, you want to be able to lay the groundwork and say, look, you might tell your employee, look, I don't know if I'll be here 40 years from now. I certainly can't expect you to be here 40 years from now. So let's talk about increments in your career. Let's talk about now, and let's talk about sort of 3 to 5 years from now. Where are you looking to go? What might you like to do? And maybe there's an opportunity inside our organization for you to do that, or maybe it's at some other organization. But just that basic assumption or premise is so different than what most employees are used to hearing. It can go a long way to creating a higher trust environment. From there, I think you really want to try to understand what motivates your employee. Try to understand what sort of career progress would be transformative for them. And this can be hard, especially for younger employees or older employees. Some people really don't know what they want to do long term. Someone like myself, I have so many different interests. If you said, where do you want to be 20 years from now? I don't know. It could be any number of things. So don't force specificity necessarily. Ask open-ended questions like, what do you do on Saturday morning when you wake up and have nothing else to do? Or, what would you do if you won the lottery? Or when do you feel like you're at your best at work? And maybe even volunteer a bit from your own personal past and your own career journey. As a manager, as a leader, as the one who has power, volunteer a bit, open up, be vulnerable, talk about yourself. That will model the sort of vulnerability you're looking for from your employee in order to elicit the sort of insights about their career that will help you fully engage them at work.
Now, obviously we all want to retain good talent. So is it wrong then as a manager to try to direct that conversation in a way that might keep them with your company, or do you have to be completely open to, letting them go potentially?
Ideally, it's a win-win. Ideally, an employee sticks around and does great work, and it's great for their career and great for the company. In practice, it's not always that way, or at least it's sort of uneven, the value exchange in the short term and the long term. So maybe for a little while it's great for their career, and for a little while it's great for the company. It's not always perfect. But you're working to develop a tour of duty that can be win-win over a 2 to 4 year period of time, the length of an average tour of duty. And sometimes employees will love working at your company. There's great alignment between what they care about, what the company can do, and they'll spend years, decades at your firm, and that's totally awesome. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I think you want to be honest about the range of possibilities and continue to check in to define a relationship that over time is as mutually beneficial as possible.
Right. Well, fascinating talk this morning. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing this with us today.
Thank you very much.
This is PCMA TV.
Fast, effective, powerful. Custom TV content from CNTV starts the buzz at your event, creates year-round content, and opens new revenue opportunities with sponsors. Find out how at cntvnow.com.
Welcome back to PCMA TV, everybody. I'm Carrie Fairneck. I'm joined now by Derek Britton, who led a session on Snapchat in a Snap, right?
Yep.
All right, so we saw folks learning how to use Snapchat. Now the question is sort of why? Why do meeting professionals need to know so much about this app?
Sure. Snapchat is the next social media platform that everybody's paying attention to. So, it's not just for kids these days, so everybody's starting to take notice of Snapchat. So it's just the next platform, just like you should be marketing your event on social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. Snapchat is taking the world by storm. It already has 100 million users, and it's growing every day. Even platforms like Facebook are starting to copy the features of Snapchat. And the older generations like me and you, and we're not even that old, but people are starting to take notice of Snapchat and using it. So, the purpose is engage your audience in the way that they're, consuming media, and so Snapchat is the next big thing.
And you mentioned engaging your audience. Let's talk a little bit about how we can do that. How could I use Snapchat to really either enhance the attendee experience or maybe increase attendance at the next meeting?
Sure. There's a thing called geo-filters that you can create. So when you do a snap, which is taking a photo or taking a video, there's a bunch of creative things that you can do. You can write on the image and all these different things. When you swipe over, you can apply different filters to that image or that video. And some of those filters are called geo-filters, so it's based on your location. So there will often be geo-filters for like a city, and so you can create a geo-filter for your event specifically. So that's a great way to kind of put your branding on there, get it in front of people, not even people that are just at the event, but within the area. And then you can create competitions, like do a competition if you take a snap, use the geo-filter, and send it to the event's Snap account. Then you could win a prize. So that's promoting your event as well as getting content through video and photos through Snapchat.
What do you tell people who say, man, I love that concept, but isn't it only around for 8 seconds? What happens then? What's the answer to that one?
Sure. Well, I mean, we're all about in-person meetings and in-person engagement. So, I mean, we're here for a limited amount of time, meeting in person. So it's all about fun and interaction. So, I mean, you can't, ever put a real value on that, in my opinion.
Right. No, interesting. It's definitely something we need to learn more about and be aware of. So thank you so much, Derek, for being with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
We appreciate it. For Derek Britton, I'm Carrie Farnack. This is PCMA TV.
Many of us are working to go global with our organizations. So PCMA presented a solution to a common challenge in this endeavor, which is breaking the language barrier. This session gave insight into simultaneous interpretation, or SI. Here's how it works. Attendees wear headsets and select a channel based on the language they prefer. Then, a professional interpreter translates the session in real time. Shannon Watson is the Director of Meetings and Events for Rotary International, which has been utilizing SI for years. Watson says the SI presence continues to grow at her event with more sessions and more languages because her attendees find real value in it.
Our conventions are designed to really inspire and make sure that Rotarians go away motivated to become better Rotarians, better members of their community, and better world citizens overall. And having that immediate understanding of the content that we're providing and the motivational messages that we're providing is really key to making sure that they're walking away with the very best possible conference experience.
SI doesn't apply only to attendees. Speakers can benefit too. That's exactly what Kirsten O'Lean came to hear about, as she made an observation during a meeting with her program committee last year.
I noticed that when the program committee was talking about various speakers, they would say things like, well, his English isn't that great, or, we'd love to have someone from that country, but they tend to not have English skills that are strong enough to be able to present. And it started me thinking, like, are we missing out potentially on having the right scientists to be giving the talks if we're eliminating them because of language?
So what does it take to implement SI? John Kendrick is the VP and Managing Director for Conference Systems, the preeminent provider of SI equipment and services. He suggests beginning with some research.
Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you understand who your audience is and what languages you're going to need interpretation for. And that's an area where you're going to either poll the people that are coming, or you know who's coming, or you want to encourage other people to come. So you may reach out to someone and say, how many people that speaks this language are going to need the interpretation.
From there, an SI provider can map out a plan catered to your needs, provide equipment, tech support, and professional interpreters. Now, of course, there is an additional cost associated with SI. Some options to manage that cost are charging a nominal fee to those who wish to use the service, or consider selling a sponsorship where the headsets are customized with the sponsor's logo. In the end, you'll produce a multilingual program that will expose your organization's brand to a new global audience. For PCMA TV, I'm Kimberly Bottom.
PCMA's Women at Work program continues to foster growth for meeting professionals. This year's theme is Discover the Leader Within You. CNTV's Kimberly Bottom caught up with the keynote speaker.
And I'm here now with Kitty Ratcliffe, who is the president of Explore St. Louis. Kitty, thank you for joining us. You were such a successful woman in our industry, and we want to know kind of a little bit about your journey to get where you were.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice. I don't think of myself as a success. I think of myself as a hardworking person who goes out every day and tries to do a job. My journey to get here has been long. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I also had a lot of opportunities that people gave me a chance. And I think my philosophy in life is kind of to pay that back.
And, you know, mentoring is a big thing for that, right? Having women who you can support and support you.
Right, absolutely. You know, I think there are a lot of women who are afraid to go out and try to get a position that's available because they think they might not be 100% qualified for it. And a lot of men don't think that way. You know, a lot of men just think, oh, I could do that job, and they don't see the obstacles in the way, and they go for it. And women tend to make sure that they're 100% perfect, and we have to try to educate women that go for it. Think like a man.
Right? That's great advice. And now we have a new Convene salary survey that just came out that shows, once again, women are making less than men in the meetings industry, almost a quarter less. Do you have any tips for women like that who can boost their value within their organization?
Well, I think women, everybody needs to make bold goals. They have to set a goal that is really a stretch goal and pushes themselves to do that. And then make sure that everybody in the organization understands that you're trying to do that. I mean, a boss, somebody who's doing the hiring, doesn't want somebody who sits back and waits for something to happen. They want to hire people who make things happen. And if you don't make bold goals and you don't tell people that you're going to do that and you don't show people that you'll take the steps to make that happen, then you really aren't going to get anywhere.
Great advice. Kitty, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
You're welcome.
And have a great conference.
Thank you.
This is PCMA TV.